There's a small blue pill sitting in millions of medicine cabinets right now, and almost everyone who takes it thinks they know exactly what it does. They're only half right, because a drug designed to solve one very private problem may be quietly rewriting the rules for your heart, your brain, your muscles, even how you age. Doctors have been chasing this question for almost 20 years, and the answers are stranger than most people realize. Here's where it starts: a molecule your body is making right now, one you've never thought about. It's called GMP. Its job is simple: tell the smooth muscle lining your blood vessels to relax. Relaxed muscle means wider vessels. Wider vessels mean more blood flow. That's it. That one signal is behind everything from a blush on your cheeks to blood reaching an organ that desperately needs it. But your body doesn't like leaving anything unchecked, so it builds in a brake, an enzyme called PDE5, whose only job is to shut that signal back down. Health, at this microscopic level, is a constant tug-of-war between accelerator and brake. Drugs like Sildenafil and Tadalafil work by disabling the brake. Block PDE5 and cyclic GMP lingers longer. Blood vessels stay relaxed. Blood keeps flowing. That's the entire mechanism behind treating erectile dysfunction, because an erection is, at its core, a plumbing problem solved by blood flow. But here's the detail almost nobody stops to think about. PDE5 isn't only in one place. It's in the lungs, the heart, the brain, the bladder, the prostate, skeletal muscle. So if you take a pill that shuts this enzyme down everywhere, not just in one organ, what else is it doing while it's in there? This isn't hypothetical. It's literally how the drug was discovered. In the early 90s, scientists weren't even trying to treat sexual dysfunction. They were testing a compound for chest pain and high blood pressure, hoping it would relax coronary arteries the way nitroglycerin does. The heart trial results were disappointing. But buried in the side effect reports was something researchers almost dismissed, until they realized what it meant. That accident became one of the most commercially successful drug discoveries in modern medicine. So let's follow that thread, starting with the organ most tied to how long and how well you live: the heart. Sildenafil, under a different name, is FDA approved for pulmonary arterial hypertension, high blood pressure trapped in the arteries of the lungs. In this disease, the right side of the heart is forced to work brutally hard just to push blood through narrowed vessels. Left unchecked, that strain becomes life-threatening. By relaxing those vessels, the same mechanism used to treat ED has been shown to meaningfully improve exercise capacity and quality of life for these patients. Researchers have also studied people with chronic heart failure and found improved lung function, along with less fluid buildup during exercise, the exact thing that normally leaves heart failure patients breathless. At the cellular level, these drugs seem to improve endothelial function, the health of the thin cell layer lining every blood vessel in your body. That layer is often one of the first things to fail as cardiovascular disease develops, years before you'd ever feel a symptom. Now here's the number that stops people mid-scroll. A study following more than 70,000 men with ED that those using PDE5 inhibitors had meaningfully lower rates of heart attack, stroke, and cardiovascular death compared to men who didn't use them. And it wasn't flat. The more consistently men used it, the stronger the effect. That deserves excitement. It also deserves a dose of humility. This was an observational study, not a randomized trial, meaning researchers can't say the drug caused the improvement. Maybe men healthy enough to stay sexually active were simply healthier across the board in ways the data can't separate out. Still, when the same signal shows up across multiple studies, in different populations using different methods, it gets hard to wave off as coincidence. More. In people specifically diagnosed with heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, where the heart muscle has weakened and can't pump at full strength, PDE5 inhibitors have been linked to better exercise tolerance and stronger heart function readings. especially in patients who also had high lung pressure. A pooled analysis of more than 20 randomized trials found prolonged use was tied to less thickening of the heart ventricle, better pumping efficiency, and lower levels of a marker the body releases when the heart is under strain. In plain terms, some of the exact changes that define a struggling heart moved in the right direction. Before this starts sounding like a miracle drug, one warning, and it is not a footnote. It can be a matter of life and death. Never combine these medications with nitrates. The drugs used for chest pain, including the tablets people place under their tongue during a cardiac emergency. Mixing the two can crash blood pressure to dangerously low levels because both drugs hit the same relaxation pathway at the same time. Doctors say wait at least 24 hours between the two. But chest pain doesn't politely wait for a convenient window, which is exactly why physicians screen carefully before prescribing. A large Swedish registry study found men who combined the two had a much higher risk of death and heart attack. Men who use PDE5 inhibitors alone showed no such rise. The drug isn't the danger. The combination is. With that on the table, let's go somewhere stranger. The brain. PDE5 isn't just in blood vessels and reproductive tissue. It's expressed in brain regions tied to memory and movement, the hippocampus, where new memories form, the cerebellum, which governs coordination, the substantia nigra, deep in motor control. And both major PDE5 inhibitors are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. They don't just stay in the bloodstream. They reach neural tissue. In animal research, a pooled analysis of more than 30 preclinical studies found these drugs reduced brain inflammation, lowered oxidative stress, and decreased buildup of amyloid, the same protein fragment that clumps in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Animal findings, not proof, but compelling enough to push researchers into massive population studies. One review pulling data from over 8 million people found PDE5 inhibitor use tied to a notably lower risk of an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Association. Proof. The studies vary in quality, and no randomized trial has proven these drugs prevent or treat Alzheimer's, but once you understand the biology, a blood flow-dependent organ responding to a drug that improves blood flow, the pattern starts making intuitive sense. There's a parallel thread on stroke recovery, whether these drugs can push the brain to grow new blood vessels and even new neurons after injury. That's one of the hardest outcomes to achieve in neuroscience, because the adult brain resists regenerating itself. In animal studies spanning thousands of subjects, PDE5 inhibitors reduced brain cell death, calmed inflammation, encouraged new vessel growth, and improved blood flow to the ischemic penumbra, the zone of brain tissue that's damaged but not dead yet. Still salvageable. The effect was strongest when given within 24 hours of the stroke. But this is still animal research. Human trials are the necessary next step. From the brain to the body, muscle. Same logic. More cyclic GMP means more blood flow, and muscle depends on blood flow to function and repair. In one small study of just over 40 men with mild ED, a low daily dose over 2 months was linked to increased lean abdominal mass on a DEXA scan. Stop the drug, the effect faded, meaning whatever benefit existed needed continued use. Related research tied improved vessel function to better insulin sensitivity, and lab work found Tadalafil could boost certain receptors and proteins involved in muscle development. None of this makes these drugs muscle builders, and the online claims about dramatic protein synthesis boosts simply aren't backed by real science. Small trials, cell cultures, animal models. No established dosing for this purpose. Some early evidence even suggests high-dose long-term use could work against muscle health. One more system, and for a lot of people, the most immediately relevant. The urinary tract. Tadalafil has a separate FDA approval for an enlarged prostate, a condition that gets common with age and brings a weak stream, urgency, incomplete emptying, and repeated nighttime bathroom trips that quietly destroy sleep for years. The same relaxation effect that helps blood vessels also loosens smooth muscle in the prostate, bladder, neck, and urethra, easing the resistance that makes urinating hard. Multiple large randomized trials confirm this is real, which is why one medication can sometimes treat both ED and urinary symptoms at once. There's also early evidence, including a Cochrane review, suggesting these drugs may ease chronic prostatitis and pelvic pain, a notoriously stubborn condition to treat. Small studies, early evidence. But for a condition with few real options, even a modest possibility is worth watching. So here's where this leaves us. Much of the excitement around brain protection, muscle growth, and stroke recovery is still confined to animal models and small early trials. A promising result in a mouse is a first step, not a finish line. The gap between lab finding and doctor's prescription pad is usually measured in decades. And like any drug, PDE5 inhibitors carry real side effects: headaches, flushing, congestion, indigestion, blood pressure drops, on top of that nitrate warning. None of that is a reason for alarm. It's a reason for an honest conversation with your doctor, not self-experimentation based on something you saw online. But here's the real takeaway. This was never just about one pill. It's a reminder of how connected your body actually is, how a molecule built to fix one narrow, private problem can ripple into your heart, your brain, your muscles, your bladder. Because biology doesn't respect the tidy boundaries we draw between specialties. So the next time you hear about a drug being used for something it was never designed for, don't dismiss it. Pause. Because sometimes the biggest medical discoveries were never the ones anyone was looking for.